Okay, guys, I just want to say thank you for joining us tonight and for giving us your time. I want to welcome you. We are honored that you're here with us and that, like, we know that you could spend your time doing a lot of other things. So we appreciate that we get to share with you a little bit tonight about essential oils and how they can be helpful for you and your health and your family. And so we have a great class to share with you tonight. And so I want to just say my name is Leah and I want to welcome you and want to share a little bit about how I got started real quick before we kind of dive in. And so we started our health journey really when my oldest was born about 15 years ago, but with Young Living about 9 years ago. And that was really due to having sick kids. I have 4 children and they were just sick a lot. And I felt like I was drowning in that season of little ones who were just passing germs from one to the next and just that constant cycle. And so we were already eating a lot of healthy foods. So we had done many, many years of transitioning out of like removing all the sugars and processed foods and all the food dyes and like all of those things. But yet we still were not in a place where we had all the tools we needed to really thrive in health. And so after being at the doctor so much, being on antibiotics and all the things, like I knew there had to be something better. Like I knew there just had to be something that would help us to be healthier. And so as I said, that's kind of when I jumped into Young Living. But one of the things that we're going to just touch on a little bit before we dive in there is, and it's kind of the yucky part, but I have to share it because it's super important. And that is the word toxins. So often we don't realize just how much toxins really do affect our health. So everything that we put on our skin, everything that we clean within our home, everything that we breathe in, that is potentially harming our bodies and even our little ones. And the big buzzword of all, like there's a lot of things out there that are not healthy. There's a lot of products all contain, if you are buying off the store shelves, you might not know this. And that's why we're here, is just to educate you, because we know better, we can do better. But there's things like parabens and sodium lauryl sulfate and phthalates and so many other things that are unknown or are carcinogens that are very harmful for us. And after years of exposure to these, they can really damage our system. We see so much of that with our people struggling with endocrine diseases and other things along those lines, a lot of cancers, a lot of neurological disorders. But the big buzzword too is fragrance. And so I thought I was doing better because I was buying organic products. I was buying things that were sold, even by places, Whole Foods and all these like natural places, right? And they had these like sections of the healthy products, and but yet they had fragrances in them. And you can actually hide under their trade secret. They can hide so many different chemicals under that title. Those things are, they're entitled to do that. That's just part of their protection under trade, the different laws. And so that's something to be careful of. And so we want to avoid those. So I'm going to jump into the good stuff now, because I really don't like chatting about all the just discouraging stuff, but we want to focus on what we can do, because we can truly take ownership of our health. We can be gatekeepers. And that is a key word that I love to use, because as we are the ones who run our home, we get to be a gatekeeper and choose what we allow in our home. And so we're going to focus on plants, because plants are God's creation. They are gifted to us and our environment. They're beautiful. They have so many benefits to them. They can help us to clean in our homes. They can give us good health. They can help aid in beauty and protection of our skin. They are great for smelling, and we don't have to get rid of having beautiful smells in our home just because we don't want to have the candles and all the formaldehyde kind of filled Glade plugins and all of those things. We can still smell good with our natural plants. But if you've been around the block at all, you know that there's essential oils everywhere. Like you can buy them At the grocery store, you can buy them at Bed Bath & Beyond and Target and at the dollar store. I mean, they are everywhere now. But let me just share with you for a second what differentiates essential oils. Like there's this huge, wide, gamut of differences in what kind of oils are out there. So most brands that sell essential oils, basically what happens is these are companies that are brokers. They're like brokers. They go to the farmers where plants are being grown and they ask for some plants. Say they want peppermint, right? So they would go and ask for a plant, and then the farmers are paid by volume. So the more that they can produce, the more profit they're going to make. So they are going to do everything that they can to produce more volume. They're going to spray insecticides so that they don't lose plant product to bugs and other things like that. They're going to do other chemicals and whatnot on the plants. Then when it's that time for harvest, because they have this broker wanting product and this broker is going to all these different farmers, they're going to pour chemical solvents so that they can produce more oil. What that does is it encourages the plant to produce oil. And those chemical solvents are things like antifreeze. So we know that that is not good for our bodies, but yet that's being sprayed on these oils. And then they cook that off. And even organic brands, even those that are labeled organic, by the USDA, they're allowed to have up to, I think it's like 5% of chemicals used in them. Those are approved in that. So you really don't even know the extent to which, that is being included in those oils. And these little bottles of oil can have, by other brands, they can have so many other things. And the word pure does not really mean anything. So when we're talking tonight, when we're giving you suggestions and ideas and all the things, and we're talking about powerful success stories, we're only talking about Young Living because there are some significant things that set Young Living apart. You see, Young Living, for one, we've been around for almost 30 years now. We really set the highest standard. They were the front runners in this industry to be unique in that they chose to own their own farms so that they could know where the product came from. And they also established relationships with partner farms. These are generational family farms that have worked to protect the integrity of their soil and the composition of their plants, that are not spraying pesticides or herbicides or anything else on them. They are really making sure that they are above and beyond organic. They're above and beyond anything else that is out there. And so they have what they call the seed to seal guarantee. So that means that every stage of the process, from choosing and selecting the seed that's being planted in the soil, from making sure that the soil is clean, that there is nothing in it, and even like the standards for organic is 4 years, but Young Living goes far and beyond that. They, in fact, look for what they call virgin soil that has never been sprayed or anything, but they have the minimum of 8 years that they would even consider using a farm. And so they have that pure soil. And then in the processing, the harvesting, even they make sure that it's done at the right season so that they don't need to use chemical solvents, that they can actually produce pure oil that is beneficial for our health and well-being. And so even like in Mona, where our lavender is grown at their places, when it's harvest season, they will be taking readings of the plant, the molecular structure of it, like every hour to make sure, when is it ready? When is it at peak performance, so that they can actually harvest it and take it to the distillery. And then in the distillery, they're making sure to use all the right materials, that they are using the right temperature and pressure and all of that to produce the highest quality oil out there. And then when they bottle it, after doing all their third-party testing and everything else, you get in this little bottle the most pure plant product that you can get. And in fact, they all have batch numbers on them. And so you can actually look at those batch numbers. Young Living could trace every step of that process by looking at the batch number from the oil. So that helps you to understand the differentiation between the different types of oils that are out there. So we're going to talk about the different ways to use oils now. And so some would say there's 3, some would say 4 ways, and I'll kind of break down that differentiation. But basically, internally is one way that you can use oil. So one thing that you could do, you could add oils to like your water bottle. Like I love to add like citrus oils in my water every day because they're very refreshing. It helps you to drink more water and stay hydrated. It helps flush out your system. It's just very good for a detox. It just really is healthy for you. If you don't like the taste of an oil, there's many that maybe aren't your favorite out there, and that's okay. Then you can put it in a capsule and you can make your own little capsule, adding whatever it might be. So for example, if you're fighting something off and you want to use oregano oil, that's a really hot oil and you're not going to want that in your water. So you can put that in a capsule and then you can take it internally. You can make what some refer to as like a honey sandwich, and do this with my children. They'll take a spoon, they'll put a little bit of honey and then put a drop of Thieves or lemon, and then they'll put a little bit more honey and they'll take that whenever they're having a sore throat or they're fighting off something that they want to have the benefit of the oil, but not necessarily be just in the water because it's kind of strong that way. So that's kind of internally how you would utilize oils. And we are only, again, referring to Young Living. I would not safely ever suggest using any other brand that way. And so Young Living does have a label that's specific for those that are safe for internal use. That's our Vitality oils. And it's a great way just to know that you're using something that has been approved for that usage. And then topically. So topically is great to just put on location. So for example, if your head is bothering you and you're just like, oh, it's hurting, then I would take a drop, frankincense, peppermint, whatever you're going to use, and just rub it on topically where that is. If your tummy is feeling upset, maybe after eating something you shouldn't have eaten, you can rub Digest on that way. So that's an easy way. There's also many VitaFlex points in the body that you can address through the bottom of your feet, through your hands, behind your ears. There's other VitaFlex processes that you can use to actually target those different organs and systems in your body. Your body's incredibly smart. When you put the oils on and you help it just helps to target what those needs might be. And so you can do that, especially if you don't like the way that an oil smells, for example, or somebody's really sensitive, or if they're really little. I like to use the bottom of the feet because that's a very effective way to apply the oils and it to enter in your bloodstream. In fact, within 30 seconds, you will have the oils will be entering in your blood, and within 30 minutes, they will be in every cell in your bloodstream within your body. So they have a very powerful, quick, effective way of working in you. Also, aromatically is another great way. And so this is the fastest way to use oils to benefit your emotions. So if you are struggling with feeling just discouraged or downtrodden, then you can use oils. If you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, sad and full of grief, like these are ways that you can use the oils in a very powerful method to affect those emotions, because your sense of smell, the olfactory sense, is the only way that you can actually target the limbic part of your brain first before it enters that logic center. And so it's able to really help just switch those emotions around. And so very powerful. I like to add like a drop of frankincense or oil, rub it in your hands, and then cup it around your nose and mouth. And that way you can just take slow, deep breaths, inhale and exhale, and then you can really experience the power of the oils that way. And when I said some people like to say there's 4 ways to use it, some would differentiate and say diffusing would be the 4th way. Some would also combine that with the aromatic. So really depends. But the cool thing about diffusing, I love the actual differentiation, because diffusing is a way to affect so many different systems in your body and to affect so many people at once. So not only are you smelling the oils, you're inhaling them, you're breathing them, you're affecting that olfactory senses and then the limbic part of your brain through smell. You're breathing it in, it's entering in your lungs, it's opening your airways to help you to breathe better. It's also those droplets, the molecules that are in the air, they're falling on your skin. So your skin that has no filter is absorbing them into your blood. And so you are being able to be affected in so many multiple ways just through diffusing. And to be honest, it's the simplest way to learn. So anyone can open a diffuser, put a few drops of oil and turn it on, and you're going to feel the effect. And you can benefit everyone in the home. So this is kind of a tricky way, especially us moms. I think we figured it out. If your kids are like grumpy and complaining, maybe they're having to do schoolwork or chores or whatever it is, you can put some oils in the diffuser that can help kind of change their moods around, and they won't even know what's happening to them. If people are stressed or whatever it might be, or maybe they're having a hard time settling down at night and going to sleep, diffusing is another great way to use the oils. So those are really the main ways that you want to use them. And if you have specific questions, looking at the chat right now, but we can answer those throughout and toward the end about that. So I want to talk about for a minute before we go into a few specific stories, though, just to explain. Young Living began as an oils company. Like I said, they've been around almost 30 years. Essential oils were like the foundation of Young Living. That was what the company was all about. But over the last many years, they've really transitioned to becoming a lifestyle company. So what does that mean? That just means that not only do we have essential oils for affecting all the different organs and systems in our body, affecting our emotions and our mood and all the things, but also having plant-based products that are safe for us to use for a non-toxic home, for us to use for health and wellness when it comes to supplements and other products that we might use, for using personal care products and things for our hair care and our skin care. We even have CBD oil now, which is an incredible new addition to our company over the last few years. We have makeup, our Savvy line of products. We have men's products. We have babies products. We've got so many different things. So truly it has become a lifestyle company, which is amazing because truly I can buy so much of my product that I need for our home from Young Living, from my own discounted store, and not have to go shop at the grocery store. But it can also be a little bit challenging for people who are brand new, who are wanting to start and are not sure, like, where do I begin? Because there's so many places, there's so many things to consider. So we're going to talk for the next few minutes. I'm going to pass the mic over. We're going to talk about a few different categories, and we're going to really just narrow down on the three main things that people tend to focus on when they want to get started. They tend to kind of focus on either essential oils or non-toxic home, or kind of like that supplements and health wellness aspect of it. And so I'm going to pass the mic over. And is it Shanna that's going to share about the oil story, Stacy? Is Shanna on here?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Hi to everyone there. I am so excited to be here with you this evening. And thank you so much for the beautiful presentation of the company. And it really is incredible what these essential oils can do and what they've done for me personally in my life. And my name is Shannon Carlin, and I am here from Virginia.
I actually wanted to introduce you. I'm sorry, I got all.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stacey. Go ahead. Go.
But Shanna is awesome. She's one of our silvers, and she is well on her way to gold. And she's an excellent teacher. She has been with me for some time now, and she is passionate about the oils. She's passionate about people, which is what it's all about. And so I am super excited to have her share with y'all.
Wow. Thank you, Stacey. I really appreciate that. I am so thankful. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get to that in a minute because this business really has incredibly changed my life. But I want to first talk about the power of what the oils have done for me personally. And this is actually a very recent story, and I might cry, y'all, but I have really been, because of some things that Stacey's walking through and helping me to walk through, the Heavenly Father has really revealed to me just how deep the trauma from my childhood goes. And I didn't come here for that. I came here for the health and wellness. But the oils that I've really been going to recently are the trees. And the reason for that is because those tree oils really ground us, and they help us to work out and cleanse out emotions. They're very high in monoterpenes, which I know is a very long word, but basically it's a word that means it clears everything out. So you can apply that however you want and research that. But I have been using them for emotional health and to help me work out the trauma and explore that and the healing that that is bringing. So my blend recently has been Evergreen Essence, and I am loving it. It smells amazing, but it has all of the trees in it. And not all of them, but a lot of them. And what I find is when I apply this oil, when I am working through things emotionally or want to work through some things, this really helps to give me clarity and perspective. So I am incredibly, incredibly thankful for these oils. And I am here because I came for the health and wellness. And I have been teaching health and wellness for 20 years now. And that started with a child that was very, very sick that the doctors could not help. And that threw me into a world of using food for medicine, but ended me up here at Young Living. And although Young Living was not a part of that child's journey to healing, it was the open door for me to help many, many others find their own health and wellness. And so I came for that, but I did not realize what I was going to find. And what I found was the health and wellness that I was seeking, but I stayed for the healing that the oils brought to myself and my family emotionally. I came here for simplicity and effectiveness. So when you're in the health and wellness world, and maybe you have been, maybe not, there is an array of products. There is everybody coming at you from a million different perspectives. And it's honestly hard to kind of muddle through all of that. And so I found it increasingly difficult with a large family to go to the health food store and buy all of these products and throw spaghetti at a wall and kind of see what sticks. That was getting very, very expensive. So this gave my family a simple and effective way. One drop will do you on the bottom of your kids' feet or in a diffuser. And that was so much more cost effective, which was beautiful for my family, my growing family. But I stayed here not only because of the simplicity and the effectiveness, but because of the tribe that I found here. I really found a sisterhood of people that were rooting for me, people that truly cared about my healing and my wellness, not only physically, but emotionally. So I'm sorry to get a little emotional, but it runs so deep, guys. And I'm extremely thankful to be here and be a part of Young Living. It has been 8 years, and I am just as passionate and on fire for what we have going on here in this health and wellness industry. We are the number one in the world. And it's not necessarily because of the amount of product that flows through our company. It is because of the heart and the passion that you will find with everyone here that works a Young Living business. And it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. The friendships and the financial stability are just found nowhere else in the world, in my opinion. So thank you so much, Stacy, for allowing me to speak on this. And yeah, this is a great class. I appreciate being a part of it.
Thank you, Shanna. Leanne, I think you're going to join us now and talk about a non-toxic home, right?
Yes. Okay, so Leah talked all about the yucky word toxins, and we are never approaching this from a fear motivation. But I alluded to it earlier, where we are really craving scents, because just innately our cells receive the plants and the molecules so in such a harmonious way. The key and the lock to our receptor sites are just amazingly accurate. And while Young Living started as an essential oils company, I think for me, what I started to realize is all these natural products that I was looking to buy at the grocery store, all of them had active ingredients that were essential oils. And given that essential oils help with cleaning, lemon, for instance, is just an amazing one for getting, stickers off labels, or cleaning the wax and pesticides off your produce. The Thieves household cleaning line in Young Living has been really simplifying for me. And what used to be under my sink was one cleaner for the counter, one cleaner for the window, one cleaner for the shower. Now it's just really the Thieves household cleaner that's so concentrated that one bottle lasts my house for, 3 months at least. And we make it into these little spray bottles, and essentially is so economical. The calculations tell us that it's about less than $1 per bottle. And so it helps clean even while I am assured that it is creating an environment where bacteria cannot multiply, where mold is inhibited, and where my children and my pets can breathe it in and lick the floor without even me worrying about it. And I really remember back when I wasn't using this and I was trying to wash my clothes. Actually, no, I was trying to wash my washer because around the ring, it was just lots of mold and I had just discovered it. And then I had to use Clorox, and I was putting the fan on and, rushing all my kids out of the room. And it was a horrible sort of feeling that I had to do this thing that it was just poisoning me. So today, I always tell people how the first place I would start is my laundry room. And that's because most of us are exposed to our clothes all day, every day, right? Because we don't go around naked. And it's on our body. And when we are breathing in artificial scents that is so strong, how many of you can smell someone else like even 3 feet away when their clothes have been washed in a really strong scent, right? And so when we breathe that in, that hormonal disruption is real, and our closet is in our bedrooms, then we have to breathe it in all day, all night too. And I just had to go through a really difficult conversation with a carpool mom because her clothes really, really had a strong scent. And it was really difficult for me to bring it up, but I had to. It was, and I went about it in the nicest way possible. I gifted her all the things so she can just do it with no cost on her end. But what I really want to say too, it's not about buying more for your house. It's really about switching out your budget for cleaning products right now into Young Living's. And when you get into that Subscribe to Save program, you're starting to save even more, and it shows up on your doorstep without you having to go to the grocery store. And to me, it's a win-win-win. And my next favorite is really my dental hygiene. They say that your dental hygiene is really, really important to all facets of your body systems, and using Young Living's toothpaste, which I know there's quite a few to choose from. My favorite though is the teeth whitening Aroma Bright one. And I love it because it just feels really, really clean. There's no fluoride, and it doubles as my deodorant. And it also has a little travel size, so there's no problem with traveling with it. Yeah, so besides that, there's, dishwashing soap, there's dish washing liquid, and almost everything, and the hand soaps. So the hand soaps are really great as well as the hand sanitizer, because we're all using hand sanitizers now. And when I forget my own, it's just so hard to use. Others could dry me out. And, one of the ladies here was saying she was a nurse, and I'm sure you had to use that a lot in the hospitals and wash your hands. And so many times I've heard people say it just dries their hands out, and just switching to Thieves really, really saved their chapped hands. So I want to make sure I will get to the questions later, but that's my 3-minute spiel. Literally everything in my house is Thieves.
Thank you, Leah. And I love the point about starting with laundry. I think that was really brilliant because, like you said, you pointed out so many things I hadn't even thought about, like the fact that your closet's in your room and all of that too. So that was really good. Thank you. Very helpful. Missy, are you on? I saw you comment. So are you able to jump on and share about Ningxia?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me okay?
Good.
Great. Oh, thank you guys so much. And I appreciate that. I liked the laundry tip as well. We all know that fabric softener can be so strong. All right, so I get to talk with you tonight about Ningxia Red. Some people call it Ninja Red. I've always called it Ningxia Red, so call it whatever you want. But a lot of people actually come into Young Living because of Ningxia Red. So it's a very, very popular and wonderful supplement. So let me go into it really quick. As I was preparing to talk with you, I grabbed a bottle and then I went to grab my little sachets and they were empty because I have a 6-year-old that actually all of my children would drink them all day long if I let them. But he always has a lot of them. So I can't show you that sachet, but they sure are easy to take with you. So let's talk really quick about why Ningxia Red is so very important. So Ningxia Red has the Ningxia Wolfberry, which is really, really high on the ORAC scale and one of the highest foods on the ORAC scale. And you can research that a little bit as well. But it also contains a lot of really great, powerful fruits like blueberries, cherries, also has many of our citrus oils in it. So some of the benefits of Ningxia Red are increased energy, supports the cardiovascular system. It helps really, really well with eyes. I've heard a lot of powerful testimonies with eye health and Ningxia Red. It improves the immune system. So everybody needs some Ningxia Red. Even if you aren't able to have it every day, everybody needs some in their home to use when you really need that great boost. Now, we all think that you should have it every day because it is that great. It also helps with healthy joints and muscles. And two more really important things. It helps with skin health. And one of the most popular things that we are seeing right now is a lot of information about collagen. Well, let me read you this really quick about why the Ningxia Wolfberry is so important to collagen. The wolfberry has a variety of fatty acids that are ideal humectants, meaning they attract and retain water, and it's a collagen stimulator for the skin. So I think it's pretty important. And then lastly, Ningxia Red, all of the ingredients help to work together to stabilize blood sugar. And it is also loaded in all kinds of minerals. So if you've done much research on like the root cause of illnesses, many times it is all based off of a imbalance of minerals and mineral deficiencies. So Ningxia Wolfberry, Ningxia Red can really, really help with that. Ningxia Red also has chromium, which is one of the minerals, and chromium is shown to metabolize blood sugar properly. Ningxia Red, actually the wolfberry within Ningxia Red also helps to balance the pancreas, and kind of it's a natural detoxifier. It also has stevia, which when stevia replaces sugar, it is also helps to balance the blood sugar. So, and also those large fluctuations in blood sugar. So recently, my father, he is 71. He was had some blood work done, and he has a little bit high blood sugar. So we were talking about some of the things that he could do. And one of my major suggestions, first, I went to one of my books, which I was pretty certain I knew what to suggest for him, but this is the essential oil pocket reference. So it's a really, really great tool. But I wanted to make sure I was giving him all the suggestions. So Ningxia Red was one of those. And so I just suggested to him sometimes to drink Ningxia Red to really stabilize that blood sugar. Obviously, along with some dietary improvements and exercising, because we know that when you even just get up to walk after a meal, it will help to stabilize that blood sugar. So I would highly suggest that everyone have some Ningxia Red in their home, and go ahead and just add that to your subscribe to save order so it comes straight to your door. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Missy. I love hearing all of the different points again, because it's like over and over and over, we need to be reminded about all the different health benefits. Super good there. So you guys, this is just a little taste. Like, we really wanted to just kind of run through some basics. This is a taste of the education that you get though with Young Living. The whole reason that we are set up as a network marketing company is so that we can be support for you. So whoever invited you tonight, they are super excited and happy to be able to share with you. And they will make sure to get you added to whatever Facebook group their team is a part of, because this is a cooperative effort of many different team leaders working on this tonight. And they will make sure to get different materials in your hand and whatever you need to help you take that next step on your journey. And so as it's been kind of mentioned a couple of times, and I'm just going to recap this and we're going to pass it off and enter the next portion. But there are 3 ways to save when you do get started with Young Living. If you're brand new and you're wanting to get started, number 1, you can buy a bundle. You don't have to, but you can buy a bundle, and that gives you deep savings because you get more product with at a very extremely discounted rate. Plus you get a membership, which gives you 24% off all of your shopping, which is super fun. You can also participate in our subscription program that was mentioned a couple times. It's completely optional, but it's something you're going to want to do because you earn percentage back in addition to your discounted membership rate on everything that you buy. And then you can redeem those points for whatever you want. So it's a great program. It's super flexible. You can do something to be delivered every 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, comes right to your doorstep, like mentioned, easy peasy and really beneficial. And then lastly, you can share. So in that way, you're actually saving and you're earning. And that's by doing what we naturally do. When we love something, then we're going to tell people about it anyway, because we want others to experience the same joys that we have in that product. And so next, we're going to move into why it is people have shared Young Living and some of the advantages of doing so in this portion of the class. So we are going to start by, I'm going to introduce real quick, Stacy. You saw her briefly earlier, but she's going to start by sharing, and she is a Royal Crown Diamond in Young Living, which is the very top of the company. If you're not familiar, you might not know what that means, but it's a big deal, very big deal. And she is an incredible, just loving, kind leader and humble. And I just am so blessed to have gotten to know her recently. And she's been with Young Living for, I think she said 11 years now. And she's from Texas, but not living there currently, but she calls Texas still home. So Stacy, would you jump on and share a little bit about your Young Living story with us, please?
Sure. Thank you so much. Yes. You know, Texans are like that. You just, once a Texan, always a Texan. Like, I can't say I'm from Illinois. But yeah, I started using, actually, I first started using essential oils back about 20 years ago. But I was using just junk that I ordered online. I didn't know the difference. I just wanted to avoid some of the toxic chemicals that I was using and, you know, Glade and stuff like that. I want to make my own sprays. And and I was always kind of known as, you know, the crunchy mom. I was the one who people would come to for homeopathy or to learn about herbs or home birthing or whatever. And so it was just part of what I did. And I actually think that I went to Deborah Rayburn's booth at Cesta in Houston years and years ago. And I'm like, I don't know, because I wouldn't have recognized her at the time, but I'm pretty sure that was her booth. But anyway, I wound up just using other things. And so I didn't know the difference between a toxic oil and a real oil. I just knew that I wanted to do it naturally. So when I first started using, somebody had sent me, overnighted me a 5 ml bottle of lavender. It was a family friend, and they had read something about somebody in our family being sick or something, and they thought, oh, this is what they need. So they overnighted me this 5 ml bottle of lavender. And me, since I already use oils, all about that, I already, you know, I didn't open it. I put it on my shelf because I already have this 16-ounce bottle over here of lavender that's perfectly good, right? So I didn't even open it. So it took me a while. They started sending me articles and things like that. And so I was a studier. Anything to do with natural remedies, I read. And so I started just devouring this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this out. And he kept sending me samples of things. So I actually got guilted into Young Living at the beginning, because it was like, oh, I have to use this stuff. But when I started using it, I started having dramatic results. And I would call my friend. I'm like, this just happened. This can't be a coincidence, you know? And so the more that I started using and the more stories that I had, I was a blogger, right? So I talk about whatever I'm doing, whether it's these cool shoes that I bought, or it's this recipe that, you know, the yogurt I was making, or whatever, I talked about it on my blog. And so when I started talking about the oils, I started having all these people that wanted to do what I was doing. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if is there a reference? I don't know. Do I have a link? I don't think that there's any, I didn't know. And so when I found out that there was, I thought I was all about affiliate links, right? Because that was kind of the thing back then. And so once I found out I had a member number, I posted it, and people started to enroll. And that was kind of how we talk about we're not allowed to talk about the accidental paycheck anymore, but in the beginning, it was accidental, because I wasn't doing it as purposely as a business. It was genuine. It was real. And I think that's how so many of us get started. And really, that is the key. My audience knew me and trusted me. And just like your friends and the people that you have influence over in your realm of life, they trust you because they know you. Okay. And so that's what makes the difference. It's being genuine. And if I wasn't making any money from this, I would still be doing it, because this is part of my life. This is part of what I'm passionate about. It was an extension of my ministry to women. I wanted to empower and equip women to take care of their own health, to take care of their own kids, not be in bondage to the pharmaceutical companies, and to have the same kind of stories I was having. And so when you see people that kind of bug out and go on to another company because things got boring or whatever their reasons are, and all of a sudden, one day they were talking about toxin-free living and all natural this and all natural that. And all of a sudden, they're pushing toxic products, and they're calling it almost toxin-free or whatever. There's something weird they're calling it now. It's like, I don't even know what that means, but whatever. It means that they weren't genuine to begin with. And so that's what makes the difference. If you know what you're talking about and you're passionate about what you're talking about, that is contagious, and your friends will notice. And I don't know, I probably don't have any time, but I really wanted to talk about one of the things that, and you can cut me off, Lee, if I just start to, but one of the things that I really got excited about, one of the first oils was Vetiver. And I don't know how many of y'all, we nicknamed it way back in the day, the psycho chick oil, or the anti-psycho chick oil in the beginning. There's a reason for that. But I started using it because I have a daughter who was, she would go on sensory overload. She was vaccine injured and had a lot of those issues. And there's an article out there by Terry Friedman somewhere. You can look that up because it's pretty darn amazing, and it's harder to find these days, but it's there. It used to be on my blog. I had to take it off. Anyway, but it is amazing. And so I ordered this oil thinking, oh, this is a miracle. I'm going to use this stuff. And it came in the mail, and I smelled it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that smells really weird. I don't think I like this, but I was using it so that it would work. So I put it on the bottom of her feet. By the way, that daughter is married and due to have her first baby in January, but she was just a little girl then. And I put it on the bottom of her feet. And so of course some got on my hands, right? And so I'm walking around the house and I kept going, what smells so good? That is so weird. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I just felt so relaxed. It was the vetiver that was left over on my hands. So it smells a lot better, like diluted, than it does straight out of the bottle. But it started to make a dramatic difference in her. And the funny thing was, it was a dramatic difference in me. I was going through menopause, and now I know there was adrenal fatigue issues going on and everything else. But I would feel like all my nerves were on the outside of my skin. I would use it, and frankincense was a close second on that one, but I would use it and I could just feel the tension melt. I was like, this is crazy. So I started researching it, and they used to use it, diffuse it in mental institutions to calm the patients. There were so many uses for this. And anyway, I do your research on that, because there's all kinds, it's good for your skin and it's good for all kinds of other things too. But really look up that article that I was telling you about, because, oh, one tip though, either dilute it with a carrier oil and use it in a roller bottle, because it's a very thick viscous oil. Viscous is thick, it evaporates at a slow rate, so it's very syrupy. And so you can either put a little roller bottle on the end of it, but whatever you do, rub a fatty oil around the rim before you put the lid on, because otherwise it kind of gets so thick that it's hard to open. And when you're already stressing out and freaking out, you don't want to be fighting with the oil. It's like, I'm gonna throw it across the room. You want to be able to open it. So, but better yet, dilute it with a carrier oil and just use it in a roller bottle, and then it evaporates at a slower rate with the carrier oil in there, and you can enjoy it longer. But anyway, be contagious by talking about your oils in a genuine way. Talk about what you're really passionate about. The oils will sell themselves. You get to do the fun part. Use the oils and tell your testimony.
That's so powerful. I've never heard your story before, so I love that. Thank you, Stacey. So tell us real quick before you pass it on and introduce your guest, but what, if you were to sum it up into one thing, what has Young Living done the most? What has it changed the most for your family as a business opportunity?
Oh my gosh. There were times, I remember the month that our check was big enough to where I didn't have to stress about all the things that could happen that would just completely put us under. We were in ministry, and we literally lived paycheck to paycheck, and, you know, raising 10 kids at home and homeschooling and all the things. And I just knew if a pipe burst, if a car broke down, we were going to be in major, major, major trouble. And we lived in the country, so there was always something that could happen. And so knowing that, we tried really hard to make sure that we didn't at first rely on the check, because it was like, I want this to be, you know, but it kept multiplying. I mean, God just kept blessing it. And I felt like, you know, the more that we made sure that we kept it focused on other people, the more he blessed it. And that's what I taught my team. This is an others focused business. If you try to turn it into a retail thing or try to make it all about you and you're moving you up, then you're going to fail. It doesn't work that way. That's why I like it, because you can't really get tempted into that, because network marketing really forces you to pour into other people.
Such a good word. There's wisdom right there, you guys, from someone who has experienced it all. So thank you, Stacey. You want to introduce the next guest?
I am super excited to introduce Carrie, and I'm trying to find her face in here. Carrie, where did you go? There she is. No, where did she go? I saw her a second ago. Anyway, there you are. I see you now. And Carrie is a senior star. She was just with me at a retreat in Branson, and we had such a lovely time. And she is such a gifted teacher and so passionate about the oils. So I'm really excited to have her here with us.
Hi, thank you. That's so exciting. Being introduced by Stacey McDonald on a call, guys. How cool is that? Hi, so my name is Carrie Gibbs. I have been with Young Living for 3 years now. However, my story starts well before that. I was introduced to Young Living 8 years ago. My best friend had joined Young Living and was loving the oils and sent them to me, but I was going through some things in my life that it just wasn't my time. There might be some of you who are on here who have been thinking about it and thinking, I don't know if it's my time. I don't know if I have the money. I don't know all the things. Well, there's a time, and the time will come when it's time for you and you're ready. I am a prime example of when it's time, you will be here because, hi, I'm here. So 5 years later, after I was initially introduced to oils, I was reintroduced to oils. I was at a PTO event and one of the moms was diffusing something and it smelled amazing and I fell in love. And its name is called Christmas Spirit. So I went home and I called my best friend who gave me the oils and I said, I'm ready. And so I signed up, I got my kit, I got my Christmas Spirit, and that's all I really cared about. That's all I really wanted. And it was the week of Christmas. So it was so magical. I opened my kit in front of my tree. I was carrying my diffuser around my house with me from room to room as I was diffusing it. I went through an entire bottle in a week, which is very extra. Like, don't do that. But I was so in love with it. And I was instantly hooked on Christmas Spirit. So hooked on it that I wasn't focusing on anything else. When you get your kit, there's like 2 layers of stuff. I didn't even realize there was a second layer. And I thought that they didn't send me stuff because all I was doing was diffusing my Christmas Spirit. So then a couple days later, one of those moms who was at the PTO event, who we were talking with, she was like, hey, did you get that Christmas Spirit? Because I think I want it too. And I was like, yeah. And she said, can you help me? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll try. So I tried and I found out, and she signed up and she got the same stuff and she loved Christmas Spirit. And I started talking to my sister-in-law and she was really excited too. So she signed up and she got the Christmas Spirit. And so I never planned on doing a Young Living business. All I wanted was an oil to make my house smell like Christmas. And so then it was kind of like, oh, well, this is kind of cool. What does it mean when I got a thing in the mail that said, congratulations, you're a star? And then I started looking it up and then I got a paycheck and it was really cool. And so then my friend Lori, who's on the call tonight, she had asked me to go to coffee with her. And in the meantime, I'm researching. I'm an Enneagram 1 and my colors are green and red. So I love researching. I love finding all the things, getting all the resources, making all the lists. So we sat down for coffee and she starts getting out all these resources. And I was like, oh, I already have them. I just don't know what to do with them. So now we're besties, and she made me put on the calendar a class. So I went home immediately and I set up my kit. My class wasn't for 2 weeks. I set up my kit immediately in my dining room, and every night for 2 weeks, I sat and I practiced. And I just kept talking and I kept working through it. And I started making a list of all the reasons that I loved these oils. I started using them a bit more, I used one on my back and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I used Peace and Calming and I was like, oh, well, I don't need this. My emotions are fine. And then it worked. And so I really started falling in love with all the products. I started hosting classes. My team started growing a little bit. People started falling in love with the oils too. And I saw a difference. And so the first year that I did it, I was growing and people were falling in love. And then 2020 hit and I became my own worst enemy. I was using all the stuff in my home. Like we started using the Thieves cleaner for everything. My husband carries around his little Thieves hand sanitizer. It's like his number 1 and I'm number 2. And then we're using our supplements for like the first time since the Flintstones vitamins. Like we are doing all the things. But I was afraid to talk to people at that time because I couldn't do my classes in my house. People couldn't come to my house anymore. So I just kind of let it take a back seat. And then 2021 comes and we're allowed to be friends again and we're allowed to do all of the things. And I start noticing a difference and noticing a shift. And I sat down in September and I told myself, I was like, okay, self, we're going to do this. We're either going to do this or we're not. We're going to help people. We're not going to focus on me. We're not going to focus on this. We're going to focus on helping other people. And I have seen such a shift. I started, I mean, it's crazy. Like the first couple years I would sit with like my little necklace on and I'd share a picture, just hoping someone would be like, what's in your necklace? And now I'm, reaching out to these moms who are like, oh my gosh, I have this one. I'm like, well, how can I help you? So when I was asked to come on here and talk to people about how this has changed my life, like life changing is a complete understatement for what Young Living has done. I mean, is there anything higher? I don't know, but look, it's an understatement because it's changed my family because we now have a better awareness of what is in our home and the products that we're using. We have educated ourselves. We've gotten rid of the junk. I have all these tools behind me that we can use for literally all the things. So it's changed me as a person because I'm sitting here tonight. One of the things that I wasn't expecting was there's this thing called personal development. And I remember when someone first told me about it, I was like, what's personal development? I think it sounds cool. And now it's just like, I have to have it. I want to learn and I want to grow. And so when it comes to my growth, my bonus daughter's mom texted me the other night and said, I am so thankful for all of the training and education and growth that you have done because it has my outlook on life was really inspiring. And she hoped to do that as well. And so that in itself is life-changing. So then there's the people that I'm helping. I told you I kind of was like trying to see how it went. So last month was November. Last month I went to a couple of events. I got to meet Stacy and Shannon, make some new friends and really kind of get a fire lit under me. But I also added 12 new members to my team last month. 12, like that's ginormous for me. That's a lot. So there's 12 new families who are getting oils that they're just getting them like last week and this week, and they're super excited. So they're starting to see all of this life shift as well. I've had one woman message me and say that she got Evergreen Essence, which Shannon talked about, and she put it in her diffuser, and her husband was like, can you smell how good my Christmas tree smells? Because he got a real tree. And she's like, yeah, it smells so good. But then there's the business. So the business is the fourth thing. So it's totally cliche. You're going to hear this all the time. Even if I didn't get a thank you check from Young Living for sharing the business, I would still do it. Because did you hear the other three things in my life that changed? Like they are monumental. The check is a bonus and it is a thank you. And it's super helpful for the bills. It's super helpful to pay for things that I'm ordering every month that get delivered to my door. But the check has also kind of helped me start dreaming because like I have a lot of growth. I have a lot of ranks that I can still hit. And I have super big dreams. Like I'm gonna be right by Stacey McDonald with that Royal Crown Diamond. But when I get there, I already know what I'm doing with my check. I already have in my mind how I'm going to help my community and the people that we're going to be helping. So not only are we going to be helping people with the oils and the products and the growth and all of the things, but then we're going to be able to pay it forward. And then we're going to be able to help more people in a different way. So if you're looking for something, like I've always been a helper, every career that I've had throughout my life, I want to help someone. Young Living is the ultimate helping career. You're going to be helping people on a daily basis. People are going to message and be like, I didn't think this was going to work, but it did. I'm like, I know, I felt the same thing. So for me, a teeny tiny bottle, 90 drops in a red bottle that smells like Christmas, it totally changed my life. 100%, 110% life changer. Thank you guys for having me tonight.
Love that so much. Thank you, Carrie. That is so powerful. So powerful. Shanna, are you still on the call with us?
Yes.
Feel free to go ahead and share your story about how Young Living has made a difference in your life as a business.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um, I actually didn't know I was going a second time. So, all right, let's roll. Again, I am a silver here with Young Living, and but that doesn't matter as much as I have to just reiterate what Carrie said about if you're looking for something to help your community, if you're looking for something to help your family and your neighbors, this is it. This is where it's at. And that self-development piece, I said I came here for the simplicity and the effectiveness of what is in these little bottles, but I stayed because of what this business brought into my life with the self-development. And honestly, I can 100% say that I would be here even if it wasn't for the paycheck, because of that piece that caused me to become a completely different person. Stacy's known me for a really long time, way before Young Living, and she can tell you I am a different person. I am a different mother. I am a different wife, and all in a good way, and seeking daily to become the best version of myself. That is what Young Living has done for myself and my family. In that way, the check is a bonus, but it is a bonus that is quickly becoming life-changing as well. Not only because of the community vision that I also have, that we're going to already are implementing, which is beautiful, but it has allowed my husband to stay home and cut back. He's 3 to 4 hours a day now versus 12 hours a day. He is building our home. It is our dream. I have here my affirmation card for this week is I am grateful to be living my big dream. Guys, it's actually happening. And we are living our dream of owning land and homesteading and gathering a house for ourselves with our own 2 hands. And it is absolutely incredible what happens in a family and in a community when they are actually able to be together. And that may not be exactly your vision for your life, but it definitely was for ours. And we are incredibly thankful to be together every single day. My son, my 18-year-old, has now started his own Young Living business, which is something that he has always wanted to do. And he's reached the rank of star. And we are just so thankful to have something that we can do together as a family that blesses everyone around us. And I just don't know what else I could say other than that. It's just been absolutely life-changing in every single way.
Thank you, Shannon. I love the point that we can all dream our own individual dreams and really work to create that for our family, those goals. And I love that you individually created that for your family and you're seeing the success of that. So that's beautiful. Thank you. So we have one last guest to share. I know we're just a little bit over our time tonight. We thank you guys for hanging with us, but I don't want you to miss out. But wanted you to know that we are coming to a close, but I want to share with you one of my favorite people in my Young Living story that I only got to meet because of Young Living, but she's one of my dearest friends, and that is Dory Boyles. And she is in Washington, which is where I moved to Florida from a few years ago. So I miss her, but building with her and all of that. But Dory is an amazing platinum leader in Young Living and has an incredible story. And she's going to share just for a few minutes with us too. You're still muted, Dory. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't realize I needed to unmute myself. Hi, I'm Dory, and I could talk for a long time, so I think so you might have to cut me off. I got started doing this because I had a daycare at my house. And, you know, when you have a daycare, there's nap time. And so I had to, my nature would be to like clean while everyone else was napping, but I had to do something quiet. So I was searching on the internet and came across oils, and I ended up buying them and not using them for a couple months. I had this intimidating kit, and then my neighbor, who also had a daycare, we were out talking, and I was like, hey, we're using these oils for Chris's allergies. And she was like, what? I want oils. How do I get oils? And kind of like you were saying, Carrie, I was like, I don't know how I get you started, but we can probably figure it out. I kind of chuckled because a lot of your things you were saying, I could relate to. So this was 8 years ago, or just over 8 years ago. And we started using them because we all got the stomach flu. And then we were like, wait, did that actually help? And then we just kept having those aha moments and stuff. And through oils, I was able to quit my daycare. I completely replaced my daycare income. And we took a ride on one of the cruises that Young Living took us to, that we almost didn't go on because my husband and I weren't really interested in going on a cruise. And so we did some traveling with that. And then in the last few years, we've had some tough times. And so having our Young Living business already set up and built has been the hugest blessing for us, because we were the excited people that were signing up 12 people a month and stuff like that all the time. And it was awesome. And because we did that work early and put in a lot of work early, doing classes and doing events and doing stuff and getting to know our members and all that. My parents both died last year. And so but in the years previous, their health was both of their health was going downhill. My mom lived here about a mile from me and my dad lived in California. And so I was able to drop everything anytime and go and help them. And that was a huge piece of being part of this business, is that I was able to be where I needed to be anytime, and go and help my parents. My mom would call me and go, I need you to come over now. And I'd be like, okay, I can, because my job was my schedule and I could do that. And so I had plans to be a teacher, and you know, little strange things kept getting in the way of that. Like from the time that I was in college 30 years ago, little things were in the way of me becoming a teacher. I have my teaching certificate, but I've still never had my own classroom and stuff. So it's just kind of interesting how God puts those things in the way. Like, I know it's not, you know, it's not your will, it's mine, is what he's saying to me. And so my life in the last 2 years was awesome, because I was able to do everything I needed to do for them when they needed me the most. And so that it's just kind of a different perspective on how great this business can be, because it does give you the freedom to do what you need and be where you need to be. And, doing the hard work when you can do the hard work, but then having the time that you can just go away and your team, your leaders will still keep everything going. And it's pretty awesome. Also, we have 6 kids. I know Stacy has lots of more kids than me. It makes my 6 seem not as many. But we have 6 kids, and we've been able to stop and do anything with them at any time as well, like go on all the field trips and walk them to school every day, and all the things that we wanted to do with our kids. I was able to do, and my even last year. Even last year after my parents died, my husband lost his job of 29 years. But because we had Young Living, it wasn't as big of a deal, because we had this to save us. So it has been huge for us. It's something I did not expect. I never thought I would have a job in network marketing, but it was one of those things that just, it happened and it worked. And we kept talking about them and we kept sharing our stories. And I had a pretty good lull, because I took so much time just kind of taking care of my parents and that stuff. And now we're starting to go again. So, yeah, so that's kind of my story. And, that's all.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think it was just, I think if anything, the last couple of years have taught all of us is that moments are precious. with people, especially, and we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so if we can find a way to appreciate and enjoy what we're doing now, and we can be building into our own family's health and well-being, right? Like this is a product that goes hand in hand with the business that is building into our health and wellness. And at the same time, we're potentially, by sharing Young Living, building into our tomorrow for ourselves, but also for our children, because it is something that we can create a legacy for, and to will to them, and like all of that as well. And to be able to be there for aging parents and all the different stages of life, and really just making those moments precious. So I want to thank you guys all so very much. This was just a powerful chance to hear so many different stories. If you didn't see it in the comments, there is actually the income disclosure I saw was dropped in there. The link, we had to share that for purposes since we're talking about the income. But if you had things in the chat that were mentioned, if you don't know, if you click on the 3 dots on the chat, you can actually save that chat. So do that now before we close the class. And that way, if there's anything, you can always download that and go back and look through it. But want to thank you for specifically sticking with us tonight, for hearing our story about the power of these incredible oils, this incredible company that is so much more than oils. It's a lifestyle company for health and wellness, really for wellness, purpose, and abundance. And that is what we wanted to bring to you guys tonight. So hopefully you learned some things. And if you have further questions, please see whoever it was that invited you, and reach out to them, let them share a little bit more, or reach out to one of us. Find us on social media and ask one of the leaders from tonight as well. So again, thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful night.
I appreciated hearing from everybody, but I wanted to give one warning. If there's any men on here, do not call your Vetiver Psycho Chick oil when you give it to your wife. You will die.
That's very wise counsel, Stacey.
Here, I have some Psycho Chick oil for you. No.